Hello again, everybody, and welcome to the Northside Nine. The trade deadline aftermath is here. Did the Cubs do enough? I know some people that don't think they did. I might be one of those guys. Is there more help on the way? It looks like there just might be. And of course, we'll take a look ahead. We have a couple winners from last week. We'll get into all that right after this. Slow start to the afternoon on a beautiful day in Chicago. The Cubs will be throwing the first pitch in about an hour and 20 minutes. So, Kyle, let's get everything we can in this next 80 minutes. So, I'm going to go. First off, how you doing today, Kyle?
Good, man. How are you doing?
I'm living the dream, man. I'm living the dream. Some baseball history again last night. It seems like Friday's the day for baseball history. I don't know if you had a chance for that Pirates-Rockies game yesterday. They set baseball history in the first inning, and then the Rockies set baseball history with their comeback. Absolutely insane. They were down 9-0 in the first, and that game finished 17-16 with the Rockies winning that baseball.
I think it was the first time in baseball history there was multiple 20-plus hit games, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's absolutely crazy what's happening. What was it? Nick Kurtz last Friday made some baseball history. Last night, it's two of the worst teams in baseball making baseball history. But let's get to this this list, long laundry list, I should say, that I have. Just about an hour ago, the Cubs designated Brooke Krisk for assignment, making room for Michael Soroka. And Craig Counsell also said that it looks like he will be making his debut for the Cubs this Monday. Jamison Taillon threw 25 pitches in a bullpen session yesterday. He will start today for the Iowa Cubs. Porter Hodge, and we're going to just take a quick rehab and trip down to the farm really fast because we got to compress this thing. A little clunker for Porter Hodge in his return. He pitched a third of an inning, 2 hits, 4 earned runs, 2 walks, 1 K. We're going to get into that in a minute. Javier Assad did a wonderful job, got off to a little bit of a rocky start in the first inning, but settled in nicely. Wound up pitching 3 2/3, 4 hits, 2 runs, 1 earned, 2 Ks, 1 walk, 53 pitches. From all accounts, from Iowa, they said he got into a really nice rhythm after that first inning. So that's great to hear. Jordan Wicks came in after him. He pitched 4 innings, 6 Ks, 2 walks, 0 earned runs, 1 hit. And one of the Cubs' top pitching prospects made another return start after his first start, where Brandon Birdsall wasn't that effective. He was very good on the bump this past Thursday. 6 innings pitched, 2 hits, 6 Ks, and 1 walk. Miguel Amaya is now 3 for 10 in his rehab starts. His move to the 60-day DL was just a roster move for anyone curious. I saw a lot of people questioning it on X. He's been on the DL longer than 60 days. So when he's ready to come up, that probably means the end of either Reese McGuire or John Birdie would be my guess. And one other piece of news yesterday, the Cubs won 1-0 despite going 0 for 7 with runners in scoring position. This season in games hit list with runners in scoring position, the Cubs are 8-7. They have a 533 win percentage. The rest of Major League Baseball is 111 and 557 for a 166 win percentage. That is absolutely a fantastic stat. I don't know if that helps you in the playoffs, Kyle.
Whether they hit with runners in scoring position.
Now, and let's be honest, that game yesterday without that titanic wind blowing in is probably 4, 5, 6 Cubs, 4 or 5 at least runs on the board. If you remember, I don't know if you were home or you saw when that double went off the wall for PCA, he kind of turned around and gave that funny look like that ball didn't go out. He absolutely smoked that ball. And unfortunately, it didn't make it out of the ballpark. What's going on, John? Thanks for jumping in, man. One of our winners of our weekly contest has jumped in the building. We'll get into that in just a little bit as we look ahead.
What's going on, John? Lindsay's in the building here.
What's up, Lindsay? So yeah, Kyle, the trade deadline is come and gone. The bet signal went out for Jed Hoyer. The returns were, for me, okay. I think he filled needs, but didn't get that frontline starter. The one trade that really didn't make sense, we're going to get into this frontline starter business here in just a second. This guy right here didn't make a lot of sense to me. I didn't understand this trade. Taylor Rogers is just very okay. Like, teams are hitting 240 against him. He's got a 34% ground ball rate, a 24% fly ball rate. He's allowed 3 home runs in 33 innings, 34 Ks, 19 walks. It just didn't ring anything special to me. I don't know how you felt about that one, Kyle.
Well, when it comes to him and Soroka, I think the Cubs are kind of like the smartest guy in the room constantly. They think they can get more out of these guys than obviously they've been getting. Another thing that the Cubs do, and they've talked about, and Jed Hoyer talked about this a little bit, is they look at the defensive metrics behind these pitchers and they
Yeah.
see who's played for them. And if they feel like they've been kind of gotten bad luck or they've kind of gotten screwed from the team that they're on, the Cubs believe they can bring them here and they can Rodgers doesn't really have a high ground ball rate, so it doesn't really make sense to me. But yeah, I mean, Sean, this is kind of what I said last week, right? I think they were going to go bargain shopping. They were going to kind of half-ass this trade deadline, and that's exactly what they did.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you this. Kid Rich, he pitched yesterday. We got to see his Cubs debut. A little confused why the big guy that I was really happy and begging to get here to Chicago wasn't in the lineup against the lefty, and that would be Willie Castro, who's slashing 837 versus left-handed pitching this year. He's an absolute dynamo. I didn't make a lot of sense against such a great pitcher like Trevor Rogers, or I should say, great run that Trevor Rogers is on right now. But getting back to Kitterich, I really like this 4 pitch mix, the slider, sinker, splitter, and 4-seamer. He had it all going. His location yesterday was pinpoint. This is the kind of guy I feel really good about the back end of this bullpen. Kyle, when you get into Soroka, who I think, and I think we were talking backstage, we think when Jamison Taillon gets back, he may be one of those guys that comes in the 6th innings, works the 6th or 7th, especially after like a Cade Horton, since he seems to be on that innings pitch count right now. What did you think about? What would you think about having just these 2 additions? I'm not counting too much into Soroka, or excuse me, into Taylor Rogers, but having Soroka and Kittredge added to this roster with Brad Keller. Now, who else is in the back end doing really well for the Cubs?
Caleb Thielbar has been really good. And outside of that one game for Ryan Brazier, he's actually been pretty damn
Brazier,
good.
yes. I actually like Brazier a lot. He's had a fantastic season for the Cubs as well. I do.
Yeah, I like him too. He's done exactly what he's been asked to do.
Yeah, and the Cubs, for me, the Cubs didn't do too much. The Cubs had shipped out Ryan Gallagher, the number 8 overall prospect, Ronnie Cruz, who many say is probably the highlight of this entire package because they feel like he's going to be a top 100 prospect very soon. Still yet only 18. And apparently De La Cruz, Wilfrey De La Cruz is another one who's 18. The Cubs were really high on him in the international draft. They brought him in. But you have to give to get a little bit. And if I was looking at prospects, how do you feel about giving away 8, 13, 14, 17 and the return? Do you think what's Jed's job? Did he do his job here, Kyle?
Well, he did exactly what I thought he was going to do. I mean, first of all, I believe the Cubs did not want to take any massive contracts on, and that's why you didn't see him play for any of the really big boys. But this is what I expected from the Cubs at the trade deadline. And Sean, if you look at that list that you just had up there with the subtractions there, the only one that when I read articles about this trade deadline, I read articles about all these guys. Ronnie Cruz has a high ceiling, but they say that he does have some deficiencies. The one that really hurt the Cubs, or the one that is going to be the biggest loss, according to all the experts, is De La Cruz. According to the experts, he's going to be a very good player in baseball at some point. But the Cubs are also one of the best teams at adding international free agents. So they probably believe they can replace these guys next offseason or next offseason when the international draft happens again. But yeah, I mean, Sean, this is kind of exactly what I expected. I know that the Cubs were involved in a few names, big names like Joe Ryan and Mackenzie Gore. I saw that they did at least make a call and see what these teams wanted. But listen, guys, if you look at what these teams were asking for in return, especially for like Ryan for Gore, it was insane. I mean, it was absolutely insane. And here's the problem. I talked about this last week with this deadline in 2025, guys. There just wasn't that much really high caliber starting pitching talent available. There wasn't, like, we've seen off seasons where like Bieber and Chris Sale and Corbin Burns are all available. And then you'd understand why all these bidding wars begin and why all these huge returns these packages grow greater and greater and greater. This year there wasn't that starting pitching talent. It just wasn't out there. So these teams were overpaying for average players in my mind. And I know, Sean, at some point you're going to show a graph that's going to show the ERAs of the guys who are available as opposed to the guys who are pitching for the Cubs right now. I don't think the Cubs. I don't think a front end starter was realistic. I really don't. I mean, look at that right there. Everybody wanted Dylan Cease. All these Cubs fans wanted Zach Gallen. They all wanted Sandy Alcantara. Look at those ERAs: 6.36, 5.60, 4.79. I think the Cubs believe when Taillon gets back and Javier Assad gets back that they have better pitching on their roster right now than what is available through the trade deadline. And for Washington, for Mackenzie Gore to ask for what Matt Shaw, Moises Ballesteros, Cade Horton, like, are you insane? Like, Cade Horton could be Mackenzie Gore. Like, that would be a player for player trade. Why would you think that we're going to give you three almost proven players in baseball? We all know Moises Ballesteros is going to hit no matter where he's at. Doesn't matter what league he's playing in. For one player who, over his last 10 starts, if you look at Mackenzie Gore, has not been very good. I said this on the show last week, Sean. I know a lot of Cubs fans wanted to see them go all in and chase the World Series this year, but I just think it would have been a desperation move. I don't think the talent was available in this trade deadline, and I wouldn't unload three of my top 10 prospects. Not even prospects anymore, Sean. These guys have proven that they're major league talent for guys who I don't think are like superstars. You know, if Mackenzie Gore was the best pitcher in baseball, if it was Paul Skeens and they were like, hey, we want Matt Shaw, Cade Horton, and Moises Ballesteros, I'd be like, okay, sure, take them.
Sure.
Paul Skeens, sure. Mackenzie Gore, who's been inconsistent in his career, he's progressively got better, but he's not one of the best pitchers in baseball yet. Or Joe Ryan, a guy who I like Ryan a lot, and I like the years of control that you would get in return, but I certainly wouldn't trade half my team for him because then it's 2 steps forward, 1 step back. I understand why they did what they did. I understand. I know Cubs fans aren't happy about it, Sean, but I completely understand why they did what they did.
These frontline the frontline starters, the asking price is way too high for me too. The only cut, and I said this, the only move that I thought made sense that would put the Cubs into position to maybe contend in a 7-game series for the NLCS was Joe Ryan, Durand, or Jax, and then adding Willie Castro. I thought those three bolstered the roster, gave you a frontline number 1 starter to go behind Shota and what Michael Boyd has done this year. Outside of that, I'm really happy with what Jed did because I wasn't really enamored. And when you look, I know a lot of the Cub fans wanted Merrill Kelly. But when you look at the Rangers had 6 top pitchers in their top 20 in their organization. The Cubs have 3. They gave up Cole Drake, David Hageman, and Mitch Bratt, which are number 5, number 9, and number 13 pitching prospects. 2 of them are in the top 100 in baseball for a 35-year-old on an expiring contract. I think the Rangers gave up way too much for Merrill Kelly. I don't know that they can win a World Series with what they have. I know Jacob deGrom is on fire, but when you start asking for those kind of prices for that, I'm glad that Jed Hoyer backed off. Let's figure out a way, but to win other ways with what we have. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out, and we still have the opportunity to have a dynamic lineup. Because I've been on this. Kyle's been in disagreement with me on this. And now I'm going to have to flip the Kyle side on this. After this trade deadline, all signs don't point to a return of Kyle Tucker after this season.
I mean, from what I understand, Sean, Jed Hoyer basically came out and all but said it. I mean, the reason Owen Casey is still here is because he's going to be playing for the Cubs next year in the outfield, which means Kyle Tucker probably is not. And, I still think they're going to give him a giant, huge contract offer. I think they're going to offer him $350, $400 million, but it's just not going to be enough because somebody in baseball is going to be willing to pay him $500, $600, somewhere in between there.
And somebody will, and I guess the one thing is, I guess at some point, you have to make that big trade, but maybe they were thinking like Kyle, and they said there's just too many parts here that it's too much to chase. And as the injuries continue to mount for the Cubs, which they have in this rotation all freaking year, it became maybe it is insurmountable. I still do believe, though, if they pulled off that Minnesota trade, it put them in the best position to win this year with Kyle Tucker. Now, Kyle, I talked to you about this yesterday, and we're going to talk about the importance of Kyle Tucker because the Cubs.
What's up, TJ? What's up, Scott? Thanks for joining the show, guys.
Oh, what's up, boys? I didn't even see you guys jump in. Thanks for joining us on this beautiful Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, Sean, real quick, TJ here says he was unhappy that they didn't go get at least a Adrian Hauser type pitcher. You know, it didn't have to be anybody amazing, but some starting pitching in some way, shape, or form. And he says, and sadly, it was very predictable that when Jed got his extension, any urgency went out the window. And Sean's actually got a video about that from Nightingale. And then Scott says, hey, what's going on, guys? Appreciate you guys joining the show. Thank you so much. Sorry, Sean, go ahead.
No, I forgot where I was. What was I talking about?
Kyle Tucker.
Oh, the corresponding Cubs 18 and 16 record in their last 32 games. When Kyle Tucker was on fire, they were one of the best teams in baseball, and I really wanted to get this off my chest. The importance of Kyle Tucker to this lineup, even though he's in this slump. He's still, and I don't know if he got on base yesterday. I can't remember, but he had a 19-game on-base streak. He was still taking walks and still turning over the lineup a little bit, getting his trickling base hits while he's going through this batting, 208 over the past 30 games. But it seems as he goes, as the Cubs go. So you're not re-signing this guy, and now you're going to say, hey, Owen Casey, we're going to bring Owen Casey up and with his 30% strikeout clip in the minor leagues and hope that this guy is the replacement for Kyle Tucker. I think this is a huge, huge mistake by the Chicago Cubs. They need to re-sign this guy because he's the key that starts the engine, the straw that stirs the drink. Just look at the Cubs record over their past 30. Well, he's been in a slump. The offenses look like shit. The records, they're barely hanging on. They've lost the division lead. Not only have they lost the division lead, they had a 6.5 game lead in the wild card. They're down to 3.5 games. Guys, I don't give a shit what kind of slump Kyle Tucker is in. This guy is the most important player on this roster, hands down, without a doubt. You don't see PCA in a slump. PCA is batting .333 over the past 30 games. So you guys ask yourself this question. Who is the most important person on this Cubs roster? Kyle, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I certainly think PCA is the best player on the Cubs, and I think that goes without saying. Go look at the WAR numbers. You can go look at all of it right now. He's a superstar. I mean, he's absolutely a superstar. I think Kyle Tucker is the most consistent player on the Cubs roster. I think Kyle Tucker is kind of the run stopper, the voice of reason, the guy who can kind of bring it all together when the Cubs are in a slump. I think people look at him as the consummate professional, and they try to imitate that. And listen, Sean, I love Kyle Tucker. I wish he would be here for the rest of his career. But the fact of the matter is that if he gets that $550-600 million asking price, the Cubs are not going to be involved in that conversation, guys. I'm sorry. Anybody out there who's watching the show, it's just a fact. They're not going to be involved in that conversation. That is not the Chicago Cubs. They've never done that. I don't think they've ever paid 3 players combined $500 million. I think the most they've ever paid 2 players at once was Jason Hayward and John Lester at the same time. Yeah. I think those 2 contracts probably accumulated to $300 million between the 2 contracts, somewhere around there. They're just not going to be involved in that conversation. You guys, we've already heard the Boston Red Sox talk about the fact that they're going to be involved in the Kyle Tucker sweepstakes. The Cubs tried to play this game with the Boston Red Sox in the last offseason for Alex Bregman, and it didn't work. The Boston Red Sox basically came to the table and were like, hey, Alex, whatever you want, we're going to give you. So you can just stop talking to the Chicago Cubs because they're not going to match us, and we'll give you whatever you want. And if that same thing happens with Kyle Tucker, he's going to be a Boston Red Sox. Yeah. Now, Sean, to your earlier point where you're talking about basically replacing the offensive production in the lineup of Kyle Tucker, I think the Cubs can still do that. Now, it's not necessarily going to be in right field because with Owen Casey, like you said, he has a high strikeout rate percentage, and he's probably not going to be as consistent as Kyle Tucker. He's not. I don't think he's ever going to be a 300 hitter, but I think Matt Shaw could be. I think you're looking for Matt Shaw to replace the offensive production from Kyle Tucker, and then you're just looking for Owen Casey to replace the offensive production you've gotten out of the third base, Matt Shaw, John Birdie, this year. That's what you're looking for. You're looking for Matt Shaw to become a star in baseball, and not necessarily a superstar, but he's got to be really, really good to replace that offensive production you're going to lose with Kyle Tucker. I still think the Cubs have set themselves up to be a really good team going into the future because I think the pitching is going to get better. So the Cubs aren't going to have to score 10 runs a game next year. I think with Cade Horton here, you've seen what he's done over his last 5 starts. If Cade Horton continues to build off of what he's done in the major league so far, he's going to be a front-end starter in Major League Baseball. You assume Justin Steele is going to be back here healthy next year, right? You still have Shota Imanaga, Jamison Taillon still here, and Matthew Boyd signed through next year as well. So then you start talking about your bullpen being guys like Javier Assad. If Jordan Wicks comes up and plays better next year, guys like Luke Little in your farm system, you still got Chris Flexen down there. You got Birdsall. I mean, the Cubs pitching should improve drastically next year. They finally have a closer of the future. I mean, Daniel Palencia is going to be the Cubs closer for a very long time, barring any major injury. The Cubs don't have to be the best offense in baseball next year to be a competitive baseball team. They just have to be good enough, and I think they're capable of doing it. Now, I also agree with what TJ says down here. If Owen Casey and Moises Ballesteros and all these guys you talk about are so good, why aren't they up here playing right now? Like, Sean, you've talked about this in the past many times. The only way for these guys to get better is to get major league experience. It's the only way to get better. Now, look at what we're talking about Cade Horton maybe being the odd man out in this playoff rotation because he wasn't brought up last year and he hasn't had that experience. So you never know what to expect from him. The Cubs should start bringing these guys up as quickly as they possibly can. I mean, you guys, what is John Birdie doing for the Cubs roster, right? What is he doing? What was Vidal Brujan doing for the Cubs roster? Nothing. These guys are doing nothing. So go get Casey up here, get Moises Ballesteros on the bench, Kevin Alcantara, bring them all up here and see who looks like they can play in the major leagues. And then next year you can rely on that guy if you decide to move on from Kyle Tucker, if you decide to part ways with Ian Happ or Nico Horner, you can bring these guys up here. But I do believe that in terms of future success, sustained success, the Cubs have set themselves up pretty well. The question now is, can the Cubs win a World Series bargain shopping? That's the question, because they're never going to sign the Juan Sotos, the Otanis, or the Kyle Tuckers, or the Max Frieds. It's not going to happen. I mean, I think they will clear up enough salary next year that they can go take a big swing at a big starting caliber pitcher, or maybe 3 or 4 really good bullpen pieces. But they're never going to sign 5 guys like the Mets do, and they're not going to have Freddie Freeman and Mookie Betts and Ohtani and Glasnow and Blake Snell. The Cubs are never going to be that team, so they're going to have to win this. If they're going to have to win a World Series by being very, very smart, basically by outsmarting the competition, they're going to have to be the Brewers.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't. I don't know if they can ever be the Brewers because, for the love of Christ, I mean, half their lineup people have never even heard of. You go to Milwaukee, you get this touch of magic, and you become a superstar. I just, God, I can't even handle it. I literally can't even handle it. I mean, all of a sudden, Andrew Vaughn looks like the 3rd overall pick in Major League Baseball from a couple of years ago.
Yeah, Sean, that's what smart teams do. They took a flyer. They traded almost nothing away for him. They got him in Milwaukee. They gave him a change of scenery, and they were like, hey, maybe this guy will look like the 3rd pick in the draft, which he was after Bobby Witt, and I forget the other guy who was drafted in front of him that year, but maybe this guy will end up being the 3rd pick in the draft that we all thought he was going to be when he was being drafted that year, and he just needs a change of scenery, and they were right. Now, Sean, I'm not going to say that Andrew Vaughn's a good player based off of a month of baseball. If he needs to do this consistently to be like, well, the Milwaukee Brewers absolutely nailed this trade, and they got another stud at first base there for absolutely nothing at all, and that's just what the Brewers do. But it certainly has to be. And you know what, Sean? The Brewers have taken I don't know if you read the article or not, but Churio is more banged up than they thought he was, and they're talking about possibly missing the rest of the season.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. They're going to call someone else up who's going to bet $350 for him.
Probably. Yeah, probably.
My sports life is being devastated and destroyed by Wisconsin sports teams, man. I swear to God. Because I hate to say it, and I said this when we did our baseball preview show. I did not think, when you look at this lineup and you look at this Brewers lineup, and they have no players with an 800 OPS in that starting lineup. They are exactly who I thought they were. How the are they still winning is what's crazy to me, is what's absolutely asinine. You look at their lineup, you look at that lineup that they had in there last night, you're looking at that lineup card like, who the fuck are these guys? And they put up 16 runs.
Yeah, and they also played one of the worst teams in baseball who just got worse by basically
For
unloading
sure.
every single good player they had on their team. But yeah, I mean, this is the Brewers. This is who they've been for the last, 8, 9 years now. This is just a team who finds a way. Even after they lost Craig Counsell, I think Brewers fans were like, oh man, we lost our manager. There's probably going to be a dip here for the next couple of years until, nope. Not the Milwaukee Brewers. They just replaced them like nothing ever happened. But Sean, when it comes to the trade deadline, I'll say this because I know this show's going to have to go kind of rapid fire here. But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, guys, I am not okay with parting with every single front end caliber starter that they asked about, Mackenzie Gore or Joe Ryan, all wanted Cade Horton in return. I am not okay with trading Cade Horton. You took the time, you drafted him, you developed him. He looks like he's going to be a really, really, really good pitcher in baseball, if not one of the best for the next 10 years in Chicago. Why would you part ways with a guy like Cade Horton, who's 24 years old, for basically a Cade Horton, and then you have to send Matt Shaw, Moises Ballesteros, and Owen Casey with them in order to get like a Joe Ryan? I just don't think. I think that the Twins asking for that return is ridiculous. I think they knew that all these teams were desperate. That wasn't that much talent out there in terms of starting pitching, and they were like, "Well, we can ask the world from these guys. We can ask for whatever we want." I'm okay with the Cubs standing pat and not making that trade, because if you're going to make a trade like that, where you're going to load half your team, two guys who are already MLB proven talent, it better be for Paul Skeens, or I mean, it's got to be one of those guys. You can't you can't dictate what you do at the trade deadline according to what's available, because this season there wasn't that much fun and talent available. There just wasn't. Even look at the hitters, guys. There wasn't a ton of great hitters traded this trade deadline either. The problem with Major League Baseball is so many teams make the playoffs now that these teams all just believe that they still have a chance to be a wild card and make the playoff run. They're not willing to move their big pieces. They're not. And if that's the case, then the Cubs shouldn't be trading all their top prospects for guys because they're like, well, this is the only thing that's available, so we have to go get this guy. Like, no, you don't, because Merrill Kelly's not going to make you a World Series contender.
No.
It's not. The Dodgers
Number
are still better than
top
you.
13
The Mets are still
pitchers in the
better than you.
organization.
The Phillies are still better than you. All those teams are still better than you, even if Merrill Kelly is here. Even if Justin Steele and Merrill Kelly are still here, I still think the Dodgers are better than you. I still think the Mets are better than you. I still think the Phillies are better than you.
I'll be honest, I've said this before, and I actually did it. I put $100 on the Phillies. They were the third best odds to win the NLCS. I bet them just 3 days ago, something like that. Getting Duran and getting Johan Duran in the back of that bullpen with that rotation and already having a stellar bullpen, I think the Phillies are the team to beat. There's just something that's not clicking right. And Kyle, you could be right come playoff time. The Dodgers just boom, 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 and they click and become that elite team. It just seems to
They
be.
did it last year.
It just seems this year there's something missing off of there. And I'll be honest, when you match up in a series against Zach Wheeler, Christopher Sanchez, and Jesus Luzardo, that's going to be a tough 3-game set, man, back to back to back. I mean, Zach Wheeler's a Cy Young Award candidate, and Christopher Sanchez is right on the border. I mean, this is a fantastic,
that would
fantastic Phillies team, man.
I mean, what a phenomenal series. Yamamoto, Glasnow, and Otani versus those three. What a phenomenal series that will be if they end up meeting in the playoffs, the Phillies and Dodgers. It's going to be an absolutely amazing baseball series. And I think whoever wins that series would probably end up being a World Series winner, because right now, Sean, the AL is just not that strong. Everybody thought it was going to be the Yankees. They don't look that good to me.
The
You
Yankees
talk
look like
about
shit.
Yeah, you talk about a team missing something. That team's missing more than something. They're missing a lot of stuff.
Kyle, did you see what happened to them yesterday?
Yeah, didn't they lose by like 17-15 or something like that?
Yes, and did you see they brought in all 3 pieces that they traded
for, and they all allowed a bunch of yeah. And you know what? That might just be an adjustment period for those guys. I expect those guys to end up being the guys that they traded for. We've seen that before, where guys get traded. We talked about this last week, Sean. You're changing your entire life. You're moving. You have to decide what to do with your kids in schools. Are you going to be there in the future? Are you moving permanently, or are you just renting hotels for the rest of the season? A lot of stuff goes into being traded, and obviously, Sean, they probably all become friends with the rest of the guys in the locker room. So you're leaving everybody you've become friends with for the last 3, 4, 5 years, however long you've been playing there. It's not surprising to see those guys come out and have bad days, but I eventually believe that they are going to come back to who they are. I still don't think the Yankees are good enough to win a World Series, though, Sean. I don't. I think outside Aaron Judge, that lineup is overrated. I think Paul Goldschmidt is old. I think Giancarlo Stanton strikes out too much. I think I'm telling you, I believe 100% that the winner of the World Series this season is going to come out of the NL. And I like what TJ says right here, Sean. He says,
Yeah, I was just going to
Talking
get
about
to
the bench
those
again, like,
comments.
hey, you know, he says Craig Counsell doesn't go to his bench because he doesn't have one. He hasn't had
Yeah,
one. Let's get these guys here and let them be options. I agree with you 100%. I'd much rather have Moises Ballesteros, Owen Casey, Kevin Alcantara coming in than Bruhan, Birdie, Turner, any of those guys. And that's no disrespect because I think Turner's actually been better here than Cubs fans have led
I like
to
Turner.
believe. I think Turner is a professional and he's a guy that people can console if they need if they're struggling with something. But he's kind of like the Case Keenum of the Cubs. Like he's kind of guy like the voice of reason inside the locker room. But yeah, at this point, you've been talking about these prospects for the last 3 years. It's time to get them here and see what they're really made of. But
yeah, and I wanted to get back to this. He says, as much as I'd like Tucker to return, do you believe that if he's re-signed any kind of big contract, it will be an excuse Tom needs to not make any other moves? That's
well, Sean, let me ask you 2 questions real quick because I'd like to get TJ's opinion. I'd like to get Scott's, Dante's, anybody in the chat if they're willing. First and foremost, guys, if Kyle Tucker walks in the offseason, that trade is a massive loss, right? You traded Cam Smith away for Kyle Tucker as a rental. That's a massive loss, right? That's not a good look for Jed Hoyer and for Tom Ricketts. You just traded one of the best prospects in all of baseball, a guy who's had the 3rd shortest stint in minor league history before being promoted to the major leagues for a rental, for a 1-year rental. So that huge slap in the face to Cubs fans. Number 2, Sean, and be honest with me. Don't think as a Cubs fan. Think as somebody who owns the Cubs and has to spend money on them.
mm-hmm.
I understand the way the market's going, and this is just sports. You have to pay the next guy who gets paid more money than the last guy who got paid. But if you're the Cubs executives, you're Tom Ricketts, you're Jed Hoyer, you're sitting in a room right now and you're talking to each other and you ask yourselves, is Kyle, go look at his metrics, go look at his statistics, go look at his impact on this team. Is Kyle Tucker a $600 million player, or do we take $600 million and give it to 6 really good players? Do you think Kyle Tucker's worth $600 million?
Well, can I say this? I don't think any sports player is worth that much money.
Yeah, I mean,
if I
obviously,
can just get that out there.
obviously, in terms of a day-to-day life, blue collar worker compared to the 1% compared to I'm talking about even in terms of sports inside those walls, where all of us would be grateful to make a $200,000 a year to play baseball. But inside the world of baseball, with how the market is going, even with the way the market's going and how good Kyle Tucker is, do you think you could, if you're an owner of a baseball team, you have to say, hey, listen, I'm all about making this team better, but I'm only going to pay guys who I think are worth
Thank you,
what we're
TJ.
paying them. Do you think Kyle Tucker is a $600 million base? Do you think he's up there with the likes of Juan Soto and Ohtani and the best players in baseball? Do you think he's in that conversation? Because right now, Sean, what I've watched on the Cubs, I like him a lot. I do. But I don't think he's a $600 million player, and I don't understand. I wouldn't be the maddest. I wouldn't be completely upset if the Cubs were like, guys, this guy's not worth $600 million. I agree with you.
Well, let me ask you this. When you talk about winning and you look at Kyle Tucker's slump and how it coincides with the Cubs slump, wouldn't you say, because Matt Shaw's improved, he's hitting 375 since the break. PCA's hitting 333, I believe, is right around there since the break. Do you? I mean, yes. I said it a little bit ago. He's the straw that stirs the drink. The Cubs have went the way Kyle Tucker is, because if you take Kyle Tucker off this team, what do you have? You have an 85-win baseball team that you had last year.
Sean, what I'm saying is like, so let me ask you.
Hold on, really quick. I am with John here. I would only like to pay him 400 to 450 million. That would be where I am. But here, let me ask you this though: if the Cubs offer him that, and then he goes to Boston for 550 million, everyone's going to say the Cubs are cheap. Jed's a loser. He shouldn't have been re-signed as the GM.
It depends.
Blah blah blah.
Like you guys, instead of the Cubs giving, and John, I'd like to hear your opinion on this. TJ, I'd like to hear Scott. If you guys, would you be upset if Kyle Tucker left this team and the Cubs signed in the offseason, say Max Fried was a free agent, just for the sake of conversation, right? And the Cubs signed Max Fried and Pete Alonso instead of Kyle Tucker. Would you be upset? So they spent $400 million on two really good players, and Pete Alonso and Max Fried, but they don't keep Kyle Tucker. Would you be upset
if
about
that was the case, then no, I wouldn't be upset.
I mean, you
Because
guys, there's
Pete
a very
Alonso,
good chance.
he gives you that bat.
Remember I said this. There's a very good chance. I know that people are going to be like, well, where do you put Michael Bush? I think Suzuki moves to right field and Michael Bush could be your DH. I think there's a very good chance the Cubs are going to make an offer to Pete Alonso. They like him.
Too.
They like him. They've always liked him. Jed Hoyer has made it quite clear that he loves Pete Alonso. Pete Alonso is going to be a free agent this offseason. They're not going to pay him because they just gave Juan Soto $750 million. I think there's a very good chance Pete Alonso is standing at first base for the Chicago Cubs next season.
And I mean, this
very good chance.
And this is what we were talking about yesterday, Kyle, when we were having a phone conversation. Where Pete Alonso is for the Mets right now is exactly what I envision Owen Casey. 400 at bats, 55 runs, 106 hits, 83 RBIs. The walks are low at 49. The strikeouts are at 111, but the average is 260. That's the kind of player I do, and I've said this for many shows that we've done together. That is the exact player I see Owen Casey. But if you want to contend next year, is it going to be Owen Casey comes up, he struggles for half the season, we have to wait for the second half for him to get hot?
Yeah, it's going to be the same as Matt Shaw. He's going to have to adjust to major league pitching. Yeah.
So you're going to take a step back.
Well, for sure. You're taking a step back. No doubt about it. But I mean, if you look at the future, like if you look at 2027, 2028, 2029, and you got Matt Shaw here, you got PCA here, you got Owen Casey here, you've got Pete Alonso here, then you're talking about a really, really, really good baseball team. And if you don't pay Kyle Tucker and you pay Pete Alonso instead, who's probably closer to the $300 million range, then you can go get a front-end starter when one becomes available in free agency. You can go get your John Lester. Like you had your Jason Hayward and John Lester. Now it's going to be Pete Alonso and I don't know, who's the next guy to become a free agent? Joe Ryan in 2027. I think Joe Ryan's a free agent. So you got Pete Alonso and Joe Ryan. I think you're just as good of a team with those two as you are with Kyle Tucker standing in right field. I honestly believe that, guys. I'm not saying that to make excuses for the Cubs. I think what the Cubs have done by not trading away the entire farm system, including Cade Horton and Matt Shaw, who I don't consider prospects anymore, but I think what they've done is they've given themselves a chance to go in many different directions to make this team competitive enough to win a World Series. I don't think they're going to sign Kyle Tucker. I just don't, guys. I don't think it's going to happen. And to be honest with you guys, I know Cubs fans are going to hate to hear this, but in my opinion, just me personally, I'm not giving Kyle Tucker $600 million if I'm a Cubs executive. I'm not doing it. That's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. He's not a $600 million player. The slumps that you're talking about, Sean, $600 million players don't go on those slumps. You can't go on that slump.
I'll tell you this right now. If he continues on this trajectory that he is on at this particular moment, he's not a $600 million player. Because I'll tell you this, against Milwaukee, you can go just against Milwaukee. He had a couple of key at-bats and clutch situations where lazy ground ball to second. We were actually sitting at River Street, and I wish Jeff Tataro was on the show. Kyle Tucker came up. I looked right at him, and I said, lazy ground ball to second. 2 pitches later, lazy ground ball to second. It's almost becoming like, fuck, it's been a month. This is who this guy is now, and that's what's scary about this Chicago Cubs.
Yeah, you know what's scary about Kyle Tucker, Sean? Kyle Tucker is exactly what I said he was to start the show off. He's very consistent, right? He's one of the most consistent hitters in baseball. But what sucks about Kyle Tucker is it never changes he's not situational. Like he's not like, well, we're playing the Brewers. These are division rivals. There's 3, the bases are loaded. I have to be the guy. Like I'm Michael Jordan. I'm going to hit a grand slam right here and we're going to beat the Brewers, our division rivals, and we're going to win this division. Kyle Tucker's good for stints and bad for stints, and it doesn't matter who they're playing, who's on base. Like they need a guy who's clutch. Like I think PCA is clutch. I think PCA likes coming up to bat when there's runners in scoring position. I think Kyle Tucker just looks at every bat as the same as the last and the same as the next. And he needs to be a guy who hits grand slams against the Brewers if you're going to give him $600 million.
Now, I will tell you this, as you say that, Kyle, and we got some stats here to back it up. Pete Crow Armstrong this year versus Milwaukee, 9 hits, 5 home runs, 10 RBIs, 8 runs scored, and he's batting .300 against the Brewers in 2025.
That is a $600 million player.
That's the rival.
That's the guy who you're down by a run in the ninth inning against the Brewers, and the PCA comes up, and you're like, "We're winning this game. We're gonna win
And
this
the other
game." To
manager's
me,
like,
Kyle
son
Tucker's
of a
not that
bitch.
guy. Yeah, the other manager's like, it had to be PCA. It just had to be PCA who's hit 300 with 8 bombs or whatever all those statistics use. It had to be this guy. Kyle Tucker isn't that guy to me, guys. He's not. He's not that
He
guy to me.
hasn't been.
He's not.
He hasn't
He's
been.
not.
He was, though. If you go back to the first 2 months of the season, he was that guy. That dramatic home run against that first pitch. I actually think I have it on here. That pit that against the Diamondbacks and that big comeback victory. I believe it was the Diamondbacks. Where he let off the inning, or no, it wasn't. The Cubs were coming back, and he just cranked that ball over the fence. I think I might have gotten rid of it by now.
Well, real quick, Sean, let's just TJ's shooting out comments. Just read some of these here. He says, "Do you really think Tom would take that money and turn around and spend it on improving the roster with those 6 other players?" I do not.
Yes.
Yeah, TJ, that remains to be seen. I don't know. I mean, I don't think they're going to spend $600 million in any offseason, but I do think that if you
Yeah,
don't pay Kyle Tucker, you will see 2 or 3 guys added. Guys like Matthew Boyd, and I know we continue to complain about guys like why are you paying Matthew Boyd $29 million and Presley $15 million when you can go get one really good quality pitcher? But sometimes Jed Hoyer knows what he's doing, because Matthew Boyd right now is the MVP of the Chicago Cubs. He also says they did not exactly use the Bregman money that they did not spend on improving the team. No, they didn't. They didn't use the Bellinger money either, which he says in his next comment here. And then he finishes off with, "You could get Schwarber back for considerably less given his age and position, but he's a better hitter than Tucker right now." I think the Cubs would be just as competitive right now with Kyle Tucker in the lineup as they are with Kyle Schwarber as they are with Kyle Tucker. 100%. I think they would be just as competitive with Kyle Schwarber as they are with Kyle Tucker. 100%. And Kyle Schwarber can hit leadoff. Tucker can't.
I do apologize, because when we let off the show with the Cubs news and notes, I forgot the biggest news, note, and nugget of the week with the Taylor Rogers deal. Who was DFA'd, Kyle? Who was DFA'd?
Leslie.
Yeah,
Sean,
that's right.
remember me saying a couple months ago on this podcast, and I know a couple people in the chat got mad at me, but remember me saying I would DFA him now and save yourself that $9 million? He's not good. He's not good. He's old, guys. He's old.
Now
nobody beats Father Time, Sean.
Now, too, the Cubs have denied, but you can kind of see that they are having a limited inning limitation on Cade Horton so far this season.
Yeah, they can tell you they don't all they want. I don't give a shit. They are limiting this guy's innings. No doubt about it, Sean. Now, this guy was on fire at 71 pitches, and they took him out. Like, you can't tell me you're not limiting his innings pitched. That's a lie.
Not only as you see those stats on the screen, since July 9th, spanning his last 3 starts, he has a 126 earned run average. And I'm going somewhere with this, so bear with me here. He has a 17 scoreless inning streak going over his last 3 starts. Ladies and gentlemen, he is this year an earned run average of 185 on the north side at the friendly confines. Now, this takes me to my point. Cub fans are going to remember this very well, and I'm sorry if this stings, because it stings me that I even have to go to this place. But everyone remembers the rookie postseason for one Joshua Beckett. He went 3-0 with a 116 earned run average, 25 strikeouts, and 23 innings pitched. He beat the Cubs. He absolutely destroyed the Cubs. He was 1-1 in 12 innings, 11 strikeout performances in Game 5, and then came in relief in Game 7, if people remember that. Overall, like I said, he finished 3-0, 116 earned run average, 25 strikeouts, and 23 innings pitched. He was the World Series MVP as the rookie, beating the New York Yankees. Could this be Cade Horton this year? Could this guy figure it out and be the hidden gem the Cubs need in the playoffs? Because we've seen it. The tools are there. The strikeout rate obviously is not where we want it to be just yet, and I think over time that's going to improve.
Yeah, Sean, the older he's going to add a couple miles per hour to that ball as well. I think right now he's tapping on around 96, 97, somewhere around there. Yeah, he's going to be 98, 99 by the time it's all said and done. Cade Horton's absolutely going to be a stud. And I'm going to say this right now to all the Cubs fans. Listen, I know a lot of people aren't happy about what happened at the trade deadline. They thought it was very mundane, very vanilla. But the future of this team, guys, is bright. It really is. If you look at the prospects in the Cubs farm system, if you look at what Cade Horton's doing, if you look at Justin Steele coming back healthy, hopefully, obviously, Shota Imanaga is going to be here for another year. Matthew Boyd's going to be here for another. This team is going to be competitive for the next 5-6 years, just due to the fact. I mean, Jackson Wiggins, if the Cubs, Jackson Wiggins might be here when the Cubs are in conversation for a real World Series run. You're talking about 2027, 2028. You got Jackson Wiggins, Justin Steele, Shota Imanaga, Matthew or Cade Horton. I don't know. They're going to go find somebody else. TJ, I agree with you 100%. When Tom thinks about big, large contracts, he thinks Swanson and Hayward, and that's always how it's going to be. Now, you guys, just due to inflation, just due to the way that the market's going, at some point he's going to have to give somebody a $200 million contract. Every team in baseball is going to have to at some point. But yeah, he's never going to. They're not going to be. The Cubs are not going to be the first team to sign $1 billion contract. The Dodgers will, or the Mets will.
The Dodgers, for sure.
But the Cubs will not. They're not going to be that team. But at some point, they are going to give somebody $220, $230, $240 million. You're going to see a Bobby Witt type signing. But by that point, the inflation will have brought those contracts. What did Bobby Witt sign for, Sean?
Bobby Witt's contract was not big. It
was $180 million.
Yeah.
If they can do that, then the Cubs can spend $220 for sure. They can spend $220. If the Royals
was $288 million over 11 years.
Yeah, so I mean the Cubs can do it too. If the Royals can do it, and they're going to. At some point, they're going to give somebody. It's probably going to be PCA.
I was going to say, wouldn't you think if the Cubs went to PCA right now and said, "Here's 11 years, $288 million," he would sign on the dotted line?
Why wouldn't he? He's going to be. I mean, I know he's eligible for arbitration in 2027, 2028, but right now, Sean, he's making nothing. I mean, if they went up to him and were like, "Hey, you can be rich. You can sign this piece of paper and become rich right now. Generational money that your family will have for the next 50, for the next 200 years." Why wouldn't you? It would be very stupid for Pete Armstrong not to.
Yeah,
and you know what? Even if he feels like he's owed more, then in a couple of years he can go back to the drawing table and say, "I want an extension. I want a restructured contract." But right now, PCA is making what, Sean? $300,000 a year, whatever.
He's league minimum. I think
whatever the contract.
It was really funny when him and Sayal had that thing, and Sayal was like, "I'm going to have to come steal money from you," and he's like, "Whoa, buddy, I'm making league minimum."
Yeah. But I do think
minimum player.
I can almost guarantee you guys, outside of maybe Pete Alonso this offseason, PCA is going to be the next massive contract.
And here, guys, I want to show you guys this graphic too, and I want to thank the Wrigley Wire. Actually, for this graphic right here, I want to thank Alex Cohen, because I saw this morning and put this up, and I was like, wow, that's great. So Alex Cohen, who is one of the Cubs announcers, he does a fantastic job. He's a great follow on X. If you don't follow him, you should. He is fantastic. This came off the Wrigley Wire this morning. Something I was thinking about, and Kyle and I have talked about in the past, was the breakout of PCA Miguel Amaya. We've talked earlier in earlier shows, but now you have Matt Shaw that's here 13 games in, and you look at what Miguel Amaya did last year in 42 games and PCA did after 57 games. Matt Shaw is on that trajectory, and I'm going to tell you this right now. For you guys, I'm sure most of you Cub fans that are in the chat, you guys saw that ball game yesterday, that double play that he turned, that backhanded snare. He made it look easy, followed it up, and it wasn't an error, but a play. I think, as he continues to grow, he'll start making those hot shots. That shot was absolutely ripped, and I don't hold it against him. It is called for a reason.
When he went down to pick up that ball, I don't know if you noticed or not, Sean, but when the ball stuck underneath his glove there, he turned his ankle a little bit there too. I think that was part of the reason he missed that. Yeah.
I'm really I said this last week, and I think Kyle and I were talking about it. We kind of set it together. When you look at Matt Shaw and you look at how his defense has improved, and this was one of his knocks. They said, this guy's going to hit. He's a hitter. We're worried about his defense improving. I don't worry about his defense at all. He actually, to me, looks like he could be a Gold Glover with some offseason work this year. I don't know what you guys think. What does Chad think? Do you think we got a Gold Glover potentially here at third base for the Chicago Cubs?
I mean, he's certainly exceeding expectations at third base. I mean, this is a guy who's rarely ever played this position. He looks like he's been playing it for 20 years. And you know what, you guys, at some point, the Cubs are probably going to have to win a World Series through guys like that. You remember when Chris Bryant was here, when Anthony Rizzo was here, none of these guys were getting paid a lot. Most of them were still on rookie contracts, and everything went right for the Cubs that season. It's going to have to be the same type of situation in 2027, 2028 for the Cubs to win World Series. Although I do think, Sean, if you look at the farm system, they have the potential to have just as good of a roster as they did in 2016, if not better, if some of these prospects pan out. If Matt Shaw is a star, PCA is a superstar, Michael Busch is a damn good player. Miguel Amaya is a damn good player. Owen Casey comes up there. If he's a damn good player, I mean, I think this team is going to be a team to look out for the next 5, 6, 7, 8 years. It's just going to have to be one of those seasons where everything goes right. They can't sustain injuries like they did to Justin Steele. They're never going to have to spend the money to be deep enough to sustain those injuries. There's never going to be that team. So everything's going to have to go right for them. And I like what Scott says here, Sean. He said, I totally forgot about this, but CBA is coming in 2027. That plays a huge factor in these big contracts. 100%, Scott. No doubt about it. Like in 2027, all these contracts and all these payroll situations are going to change drastically. And I wouldn't be surprised at all if at some point soon baseball installs a salary cap.
Well, I will say I don't know that will ever happen, but I will tell you this. As we wrap up this trade deadline, the aftermath, and all this stuff that happened over the weekend, this might be depressing to Chicago Cub fans when I read this, but Fangraphs put out their weight on the rest of the season and the outlook. And this means, Scott, I'm going to owe you a smash burger if this holds true. Fangraphs weighted the schedule and rated the season, and this was after the trade deadline. They waited for clear context. They have the Brewers at 92 wins and the Cubs at 91 wins. So they have the Brewers winning the NL Central after the trade deadline, and the moves were made by 1 game over the Chicago Cubs. So, and I do want to play this piece really quick because it kind of signifies what I thought, because I thought with big moves, they could be a contender. Just fixing the bullpen, I think they can win an NLDS series. I don't know, and that will be tough. I don't know if they can go much further than that. This is what Bob Nightingale said after the trade deadline was over.
It's like, how can you be all in and go get Kyle Tucker, get the trade deadline when you got a chance to be good and you have a chance for a World Series? You do absolutely nothing. So everybody's asking the same question. And then, the one intriguing thing is, Jed Hoyer just got his contract extension. If he had not got that extension, would he have been a lot more aggressive trying to, finish strong, finish first place and going deep in October? Now you have security. You're almost looking at your prospects like, yeah, I'm going to be around for a couple of years. I don't want to trade those prospects away. So they went for a team that had, maybe the best chance to go to the World Series in the National League. So, reality is they're probably only the 5th or 6th best team in the National League right now.
I don't agree with the 5th or 6th best team.
Yeah, I don't agree they had the best odds to be. He's saying that based off the fact that they had the best record in the NFL or in the NL for a big long stint in this season. But I still don't think that the Cubs were ever first in the Sean. They never had my vote as the best team in the NL, the best chance to win a World Series. That never happened. Not for me personally. You guys can say I'm crazy, but I never thought they were the best team in the NL.
And Kyle, really quick, this is what we need to see down the stretch.
Here's Tucker. Swing and a drive. Right field, way back. We are on top.
He's not really doing that.
Hasn't been enough of it. There hasn't been enough of it.
It's
not Ohtani. This is not a guy every time he comes to the plate, you're like, oh, Ohtani's up. What? Be careful. Be careful. He's not that guy. He's not. He's just not.
You know what's funny is when he comes up, and maybe I'm just a victim of a Cub fan, but when you look at his numbers over the past 5 years, they are equal or better than Juan Soto, who is a really, really good hitter. And I had that graph in here for a while. I took it out, but when you look at that, when he comes up to the plate, I do feel good. Like, oh man, we're gonna get a hit, a double, something's gonna happen. But it's just been a weird month for Kyle Tucker, man. And hopefully it bounces back, because I am with this guy right here. I think he saved the Cubs. I think he did a good job. When you start looking at, again, some of these trades that were astronomical. And Jed Hoyer on Marquee yesterday brought up a good point. He goes, give me a front-end starter that was traded. There wasn't one, because the asking price was astronomical and nobody wanted to pay it across baseball. Alcantara didn't go anywhere. Cabrera didn't go anywhere. Joe Ryan didn't go anywhere. I mean, these guys that everyone's like, Cubs should go get. You're financing your future if you make that trade based on what they were asking for.
The collective in baseball, you get nuts. Every team in baseball, you're nuts. I mean, did you hear what they wanted for Joe Ryan from the Red Sox? I mean, they wanted 3 major leaguers and 5 prospects. Like, you guys, you're nuts. You're insane. You're doing this because you know he's the only front end starter available right now. Him and Mackenzie Gore. That's why you guys are asking so much. But to me, they're not worth it. And TJ, I agree with you. One thing, TJ, I like Jed Hoyer. I think Jed Hoyer is a very good GM. I think he'd be a lot better if his handcuffs were taken off. I believe 100% he's handcuffed by the Ricketts. I think this is a whole Tribune situation all over again. I think the Ricketts are cheap, and we're basically in the same situation we were in when they won the World Series. Now they're like, well, we don't have to spend that much money anymore. We already did. We won our World Series, and they're right back to where they were before Tom Ricketts bought the team. And like I said, for them to win a World Series, they're going to have to do it very creatively. It's going to have to be a perfect season. I will say this though, guys, the Cubs got better at the trade deadline. Okay, they did.
They did. Listen, they're a better team. They're a better team on August 1st than they were on July 31st.
No doubt about it. No doubt. First of all, I like the moves in the bullpen. I think Michael Soroka, when Assad and Taillon gets back, he goes in the bullpen. And if you look at Michael Soroka's ERA through the first time through the order, he's one of the best pitchers in baseball. It's the third time through the order that's killing Soroka. So if he becomes a bullpen piece, the Cubs bullpen got really good. You guys, I think the Cubs, if they're going to win a World Series in 2025, are going to have to do it with their offense. And that's exactly where I was before the trade deadline. No matter how you shook out, this team's going, if they're going to win a World Series, it's going to have to be with their bats. It's going to have to be. And it's still the same situation. And then you wouldn't add a guy like Willie Castro, who doesn't struggle with left-handed pitching. That's what the Cubs needed. And he's a great bench piece, too, if you decide you don't want to start him for a couple of days, 3 or 4 days, and you want Matt Shaw there. I mean, Willie Castro is one of the best utility players in baseball. He can play almost every position on the field, and he can hit left-handed pitching. He was the perfect addition for this lineup. Perfect.
You know, I was begging for this guy. I just wanted him because of that 830. I mean, outside, and here you go, 56 games in the outfield, 42 at second, 13 at third, 5 at shortstop. He played 13 games at third in 25. And look at that slash line against lefties, a 131 WRC plus and an 837 OPS against left. This is exactly what the Cubs needed. I think that I'm with you. They're a better team. I like the moves. I just don't think the moves catapulted them over the Phillies, over the Dodgers.
No, but here's a problem I have with a lot of Cubs fans on Twitter right now. Cubs fans on Twitter, months before the trade deadline, were trying to convince me that this is a World Series team.
I'm with you, Scott.
Right? Well, the Cubs didn't get worse. They got better, right, Sean? Even if it's not a ton better, even if it's not head and shoulders better than they were 2 weeks ago, they're better. Yeah. So if you're trying to convince 100%. me, if you're trying to convince me in June that they can win a World Series, why would you change your opinion? Why is it any different in August? Like, I mean, if you thought this team was a World Series team a month ago, then you should still think they're a World Series team. As a matter of fact, their offense got better.
I thought they were a World Series, a front end starter away from being a World Series team. I thought they had a great shot.
Yeah, and we just talked about how that wasn't possible. It's just in this trade deadline, it wasn't possible.
And that's all I'm saying. Like, I'm.
Thanks, TJ. We appreciate it, man. Sorry, Sean.
Hey, no problem. And TJ, you were 2-4 last week. We're gonna hit this here in just a minute if you're still sticking around because I have to go to work here in about 25 minutes, so I gotta get out of here. We're gonna do our look ahead here very, very shortly. But my only thing was, and I said this last week, and I said it the week before, if they could add a frontline starter that you could feel good starting up against one of the other top frontline starters against the Phillies, you know, when you have to face a Zach Wheeler and you need to only give up a run, you know, I thought that would be the case. It's not the case. It didn't happen, you know, and unless what I pointed out about the Josh Beckett run that he went on as a rookie and was.
Yeah, I was going to say, Sean, I think they think Cade Horton is better than any of the guys who were available. Yeah.
We might be shocked. We might be shocked.
They think Cade Horton was better than Kelly. I think they think he's outside of Joe Ryan and Mackenzie Gore. I think they think Cade Horton is better than anything that was available. And then you talk about bringing Javier Assad and Jameson Taillon back up here, Sean. The Cubs, when they get to the playoffs, they're just going to have to piece this thing together. You might see like kind of some bullpen games where I don't want to say a bullpen game where Cade Horton only goes 5 and then Javier Assad goes 3 and then they bring in Caleb Thielbar and Daniel Palencia. That's how the Cubs are going to have to win a World Series. They're going to have to do it with their bats, and they're going to have to be very meticulous about how they put this pitching staff together. It's going to have to be very strategic in order for the Cubs to win the World Series. I still think their odds to win the World Series are exactly the same as they were last week. I think the odds are exactly the same.
Better because they solidified. I tell you this. I feel better now that in these games in the 7th inning, when we have a lead and we bring in a couple of guys, I feel better about the next day knowing that they solidified the bullpen. And going into the trade deadline, I felt like they had bullpen stuff for one game, and then they had to wait another game if those pitches were
so did
exhausted.
I. So did
Yeah,
I.
now I feel
Ryan
like,
Presley is gone.
yes,
You
you're
don't have to
back
worry
to
about
back
that
now.
shit.
Yes,
You're
I
not
feel
going to
so
be like,
much
oh, pitched Palencia and Theo Bar yesterday, so today we're going to see Presley. You don't have to worry about that anymore. You're not going to see Presley anymore because he's gone. I think the Cubs got better, and I still think they have to win a World Series through their bats and being, like I said, you just have to be very creative about how you use this pitching staff when you get to the playoffs. And I still think the Cubs are capable of winning a couple series. And if they find themselves in the NLCS, maybe they get to the NLCS against the Dodgers and Ohtani is out for the rest of the year because he's high ankle sprain or something. You never know. You never know. Just make the playoffs. It's a brand new season once you make the playoffs. And I certainly think they're still a better team than the Milwaukee Brewers. I mean, if you look at them on paper,
so too.
they're a better team than the Milwaukee Brewers. There's no question about
That's
it.
why I said last week I was not scared of the Brewers, but the Cubs just it's like Wisconsin. Like, we're a really good football team. We play the Packers, and we look like the fucking Harlem Globetrotters or the Washington fucking Capitals. Like, it's insane. Or the Generals. Like, it's insane. It's every time we play Milwaukee, it's or Green Bay or anything from fucking Wisconsin. It's like we fold our tents and we're scared and we can't beat these teams.
It's like the Brewers have this mental stronghold on the Cubs. Like, we know we can beat you guys. You guys don't know you can beat us because you haven't done it for the last 8 years. And the Cubs buckle under the pressure. That's what I'm saying. If Kyle Tucker was a $600 million player, he'd be like, not me. I haven't been here in Chicago for the last 8 years. You've never played me before. I am the new Cub. I am the face of the Cubs.
Right.
And we're going to beat your ass.
Right.
And he's not that guy. He's not that guy. PCA is that guy.
I'm going to ask
I think PCA loves it. I think he loves playing the Brewers. I think he play the Brewers every day.
Out there. Good. I want to put this out there because Owen Casey, everyone wants him to be the savior. He wants the guy that they want to get called up. This guy, since he has been in the minor league system from 2021 to 2025, his lowest strikeout rate is 28%. So you know what you're doing this year through 57 games. It's 29%. Last year, through the first 76, he was at 27%. The second half of the season, it actually went up to 29%. He has 109 strikeouts to 48 walks. So I just want Cub fans to know and realize this is who he is. He's going to have a high strikeout rate. And I'm going to be honest, they said it. They brought up Mo Baller over Casey because of that strikeout rate. So let me ask you this. Everyone wants to bring up he's had 75 RBIs, 20-plus home runs. He's having a great year. If he can come up and hit 260, I'm okay with the strikeouts because, as we said, that's exactly what the polar bear does for the Mets. High strikeouts, low walks, big home runs, high RBI totals.
Clutch.
I'm okay with it. I guess. I don't ever really have a choice.
Well,
but
Sean, it might not have to be. It could be Kevin Alcantara.
It
might not have to be Owen Casey. That's the luxury of having a really good farm system is you have multiple options. And you guys, I know this is way too soon, and you guys are like, oh, don't even bring his name into this conversation. But the first round pick the Cubs had this year, the right fielder from Wake Forest, that kid is almost ready to play in the majors. He has one of the purest, cleanest swings in all of baseball, and the kid's never hit less than 350 in a season in any league he's ever played in ever. I think he's a big part of their future plans as well, Sean. I'm telling you, if you look at the farm system, the future is bright for the Chicago Cubs. They just have to play this very carefully. Carefully.
I was going to say, I will tell you this. There's still a long off season in which if the Cubs feel they can make a move, they can still package some of these guys just because it didn't happen at the trade deadline. Doesn't mean Owen Casey can't be traded in December.
And then these teams are like, well, the Cubs aren't in desperation mode. They're just kind of shopping. So we can't ask for every single player on their team. Cubs fans, TJ, Scott, John, how heartbroken would you have been if the Cubs traded Matt Shaw, Cade Horton, Owen Casey, and Moises Ballesteros for Joe Ryan? I would have been heartbroken, man. I would have been absolutely
way too much.
It would have been heartbroken. I've been waiting for Cade Horton for 2 years. I've been waiting for Matt Shaw for 2 years. These guys, Matt Shaw was considered one of the best prospects in all of baseball. He was, by all accounts, going to be the National League rookie of the year. And then he comes up here just when he starts to look great, right after that All-Star break. He's been absolutely amazing. And all of a sudden, he's just gone. They just trade him for Joe Ryan. That would crush my soul, man. And Sean, Gaming with Jason just joined the chat here. Thank you so much for being here, man. We appreciate it. Everybody in the chat, everybody watching, please hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't already. And he says very heartbroken. So he agrees with me. I mean, like, these are guys who I consider part of the core, right? These guys should be, Matthew Shaw should be considered part of the core. Like, he's not, PCA is not going anywhere. Matthew Shaw's not going anywhere. Cade Horton's not going anywhere.
I will tell you this. I did stand up and have a big, deep breath and sigh of relief when the trade deadline passed and Jefferson Rojas was still in South Bend.
God, can you imagine?
I'm sorry.
And Jefferson Rojas comes up here to replace Dansby Swanson or Nico Horner. Jefferson Rojas is probably going to be better than both those guys.
And I'm with you, gaming with Jason. I'm embarrassed by some of the fans' reactions because the fans' reactions on the surface are, oh, we just wanted this front-end starter at any cost to try and chase a World Series. And they don't look at the big picture.
Yeah, you're talking about fans who don't even know what the Cubs farm system looks like. They don't even know what prospects are, man. They're just like these casual Cubs fans who are like, I just want to look up at the screen and see a winning score every game. Like, guys, if you're talking about the future, if you're talking about the future of the organization and having sustained success, you have to be very meticulous about the way you make these trades. You can't just give away your entire team for one player and expect to get better. You can't. What's that old phrase, Sean? Subtraction by addition, or addition by subtraction, whatever. That sometimes that doesn't work, guys. If you trade away Cade Horton, who could be Joe Ryan, Matt Shaw, who could be the best third baseman in the National League next year, and Moises Ballesteros, who could be the best DH in baseball for the next 10 years. Obviously, that guy can hit the ball. There's no doubt about it.
Big hit against
For Joe Ryan, I don't think you got better. I don't think your team got better. You're doing it to chase World Series in 2025. And if you had Joe Ryan, I still don't think you're better than the Dodgers, Mets, or Phillies. So it would have been a very risky move. I am totally fine with the way Jed Hoyer handled the trade deadline. I wish they would have one more guy like a Soroka or like one more player like that, one more pitcher, just one.
I wish too. But Kyle, I text you. I text you towards the end of the trading deadline. What did I text you? I think they should pivot right now and talk to the White Sox. And I guess Jed Hoyer did say yesterday in his interview that the White Sox and the Cubs were very, very close on a deal for Adrian Hauser, but they couldn't work out the prospect end of it. So
yeah, because the White Sox were just like everybody else. They were like, hey, we know that front end starter's not out here, so people are going to get desperate and give up way too much for these middle of the road type pitchers. That's what everybody was doing it. If you look at all the asking prices for these pitchers, they were insane. I'm like, dude, these are Chris Sale in his prime type prospect trades. These are Max Fried trades. These are not Adrian Hauser and Merrill Kelly trades. Are you insane? You want Cade Horton and Matt Shaw for a rental and Adrian Hauser? Are you insane?
And really quick, because I wanted to get this out for people that don't know about Soroka, because we got to get to looking ahead because I got to get out of here. But Soroka coming out of the bullpen last year, 36 innings as a reliever, 275 earned run average, an amazing 39% K rate to a 13% walk rate. 189 is what teams hit against him. He was very dominant out of the bullpen. So this guy's going to be used in different facets. I would actually, if you're keeping, personally, if you're keeping Cade Horton on this innings limitation, which it seems that they are, I think Horton or Soroka is a fantastic combo moving down the stretch here.
That's what I'm saying, Sean. If you go in the playoffs and you line up Matthew Boyd, Imanaga, and then Horton and Soroka, or Horton and Assad split that start, I'm telling you, the Cubs are more dangerous, have a more dangerous pitching staff than people think. And gaming with Jason says, right, there was no Randy Johnson available in this. That's what I'm saying, guys. Like, if there had been a Randy Johnson in his prime available, then I'm willing to give up a lot of these prospects, but it just wasn't there. And if you would have made a trade for a guy like Merrill Kelly and given up what the Rangers gave up for him, if you would have done that, that's desperation to me. That reeks of desperation. I think the Rangers are not winning the World Series.
I was going to say,
they just lost 3 of their top 10 pitching prospects, and they're not winning the World Series.
When I saw that come out, I'm like, what are they doing? If the Cubs did that, that's what other fans would be saying about the Cubs. They'd be like, you just gave away Cade Horton and Matthew Shaw for a rental and Merrill Kelly, and you guys think you're going to win the World Series because Kelly's here? Are you insane? No. Like, no. All right, boys and girls, I got to cut this one short because I got to get to work. We have 2 left against the Orioles, and as you can see, I know we've had problems with left-handed pitchers. I got the left in parentheses and all the games coming
Castro.
up. I do think so. Really quick, John and I were correct. I'm going to keep a tally running through August, and the winning person from the chat is going to be sent a gift. Chicago Cubs, little Chicago Cubs package I'm trying to work on putting something together now. So let's keep these guesses coming in. John S was 4-2 last week. TJ was 2-4. I had 4-2. Kyle was 3-3, and Bruce had them as a undefeated team, 6-0. So we do have these two.
So Sean, you and John won, right? Was it John?
John and I are on the Cadillac
Yeah,
board.
so Sean and John got a point. So we're already behind TJ, Bruce. We got to get our shit together. Let's do this.
Yes.
So Sagano and Pavic versus Boyd and Ray. Guys, I hate
Win-win.
to do this. I'm going with a sweep the rest of the
Yep,
way.
going
in
with
this, there's 6 games, ladies and gentlemen.
I
The first game against the Cardinals next weekend, and then 3 against the Reds. And I'm going to educate you guys and go inside the numbers on this Red series. But right now, I have Sean, Kyle, TJ, Bruce, and
John.
we'll see. Scott, if you want to get in it, you're more than welcome to, my friend. I'm going to go 2-0 to start. Bruce, what you got? I bet you have 2-0.
2-0. Yeah. Oh gosh.
John's got 2-0 and I got 2-0, Sean.
Awesome.
All right, TJ and Kyle. Kyle, I haven't seen TJ yet. We'll look out for you, bud.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye out for TJ. But right now, John's
Okay.
got 2-0 and I got 2-0 against the Orioles. That team sucks.
Yes.
All right, they better knock the ball around the next couple of days against these guys.
TJ, you got a guess for us on the rest of this up. Sean, Scott's got the Cubs at 1-1 against the Orioles. TJ, you got a guess for us on these last 2 games against the Orioles? I got 2-0. Scott's got 1-1. Bruce has 378-0.
Give us up to Bruce. We will be 162-0. Okay. So we have Soroka making his debut versus Lodolo, Shota and Lytle making his debut versus the Cubs, and then you have Horton versus Abbott. So before we make our picks, let me get this out to you, ladies and gentlemen, really, really quick. Lodolo against the Cubs is 11 innings pitched, 3 earned runs, and 11 strikeouts. 525. He gave up 6 hits, 3 earned runs, 3 walks, 1 home run. The Cubs are 2-0 against the Reds in games he started. Now, in his last 10, he's allowed 3 earned runs or less. In 9 of his last 10, 2 earned runs or less. In 7 of his last 10 have been 1 run or less, which is he's on an absolute run. Excuse me. I'm sorry. 7 of his last 10. Yes. 2 runs or less in 7 of his last 10. Excuse me. Sorry. He gave up 6 runs on 6-11 versus Cleveland. Since then, he's had 8 starts. 7 to 8 of those have been 2 earned runs or less. He also had a complete game shutout on 7/23, 2 starts ago. Andrew Abbott has 12 innings pitched against the Cubs. He's allowed 7 hits, struck out 10, and only allowed 1 earned run on 531. He was magnificent. He went 7 innings, striking out 8, allowing 1 hit, 1 walk. The Cubs are 0-2 in games he has started for the Cincinnati Reds. 9 of his last 10 outings have been 2 earned runs or less. 7 of those have been 1 earned run or less. And over his last 2 outings, he's allowed 4 hits, 8K. He's allowed 4 hits, 19 strikeouts over his last 14 innings pitched. So, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, this is where it's going to get a little iffy for me.
Yeah, I'm going 2-1, Sean. The Reds have the worst bullpen in baseball.
2-1. And I actually did look that up. The bullpen rank for the Cincinnati Reds is dead center of baseball. It's under 4. I think it's 389, 16.
Yeah, Lodolo, those starts we won against what's his name, the first
Lodolo?
guy. Yeah, Lodolo. He was beating the shit out of the Cubs, and then their bullpen came in and we scored 14 runs. I mean, like that's the Reds, man. That's what they've been since I've been a little kid. They occasionally find these good starting pitchers, but they can never have a complete pitching staff. Look, I'm going 2-1. Sean, John's going 1-2, and Scott's going 2-1.
I am going to go with John here. I'm going 1-2. John said what now?
John's 1-2.
1-2.
Yeah,
Scott's 2-1.
Scott's 2-1. Okay.
And
I go 2-1.
2-1. Wow.
Wow, Bruce put a loss on the board. How about that?
Bruce, man.
No undefeated this year.
Losing faith.
I'll tell you.
Not
If
great.
I'm looking at one loss, the Cubs have not looked good against Andrew Abbott, man.
Yeah,
He
Abbott's the loss.
he
Yeah.
might have.
And you know what?
No,
You're like I just said. I don't like the Reds bullpen. He could pitch a complete game
Yeah.
against the
Yeah.
Cubs. Like
He actually had a complete game, one
Or
start
not
ago.
good
He was the
season.
complete game, not Lodolo.
yeah, he's
Um,
amazing.
so-
Abbott's amazing.
Yeah, he's having a great
You know
year.
the Reds ain't paying that guy. I can guarantee you that. That guy wants $250
TJ
million.
has not chimed in this week. Okay. All right. So going into this final series against the stupid Deadbirds who dropped under 500 with their loss yesterday, the only game before we come on the air, because you see the game 2 will be Saturday evening. It is the Fox game of the week. It will be Colin Ray versus Andre Palante. And then they will play game 3 on Sunday, their ESPN game of the week. Soroka will make his second start versus Sonny Gray. So the game we're looking at here is Matthew Boyd versus McGreevy.
Yeah,
And
and the Cardinals just unloaded what? Three
Yeah.
of their best players.
I'm going
Yeah.
to win.
I'm going win.
Yeah, same.
Bruce, you're picking a win?
Yeah.
Yeah, no shit. Scott, what do you got, man? You got one that first game against the Cardinals.
John.
John's already says he's going win.
Win.
One
John
win.
and I are 4-2 this week. We got the Cubs 4-2 for the second week in a row. Johnny, we think alike, brother, but winners usually do, my
John,
friend.
Scott's got to win.
Scott's got to win. So Scott is going 4-2 as well.
I don't think so. I think Scott's going. Oh no, he's picked a split with the Orioles, didn't he?
He put the split with the Orioles. Yeah.
Yeah.
4-2 for Scott, and then Bruce and I both got him at 5-1.
5-1. And again, I hope you guys are right, because I don't want the Cubs to lose any games.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm just impressed that Bruce chalked a loss up there.
I know. I'm not going to be anymore this week.
yeah, I'm
I'm going to be.
here. I am going with the Cubs being 2-1 against the Reds. I'm very skeptical of that. I'm just taking that the Cubs are going to be on this trajectory and stay even with the Brewers. The Brewers, my friends, after they get the depleted Washington Nationals, get the Phillies for 3. I did not look at that rotation, but God, I hope it's Wheeler, Sanchez,
sure about
and
that?
Luzardo.
You sure about that? They get the Phillies?
I think they get the Phillies starting Monday.
Brewers.
Let me double check.
I thought they got a bunch of nobodies.
It's not Monday. They play Atlanta. Then Philadelphia.
Yeah, Atlanta.
Play
Yeah.
Atlanta, then Philadelphia. So they have Atlanta coming up and then Philadelphia. Sorry about that.
Yeah, and then
It's the Mets. It's the Mets. Sorry, it's the Braves, the Mets, the Pirates, the Reds, then
the
the
Cubs.
Cubs. I thought they had a series with the Phillies left still.
Then they get the Giants, then the
it's the-
Diamondbacks, then the Blue Jays, then the Phillies.
Then the Phillies. The Phillies
Giants,
are the first.
Diamondbacks,
Liberty
Blue
weekend.
Jays, and Phillies. And you know what? The Blue Jays have been red hot. So the Brewers do have some tough matchups coming up.
I'm hoping that they match up against all the top pitchers in baseball the rest of the stretch. Hopefully, when they get to that series, let's see, against the Mets, it's going to be Scipione. Oh, it's actually hold on. The Brewers on Monday play the Braves.
Yeah.
Priester versus Freddie. Oh God, it's what I mean. They never get a tough pitcher.
Thanks, Scott. Have a good weekend, man.
Peralta versus Wentz. Oh my God, these pitchers suck for the Braves, dude.
Yeah, the Braves aren't a good team.
No, not this year.
I didn't even know Cookie Carrasco was still pitching in baseball, for the love of Christ. He's starting for the Braves. Oh my God. He's making he's making his 10th start of the season. I had no idea this guy was still on a baseball team, to be
Yeah,
honest.
they just traded Shane Bieber's finally getting back to starting, and they just traded him.
Yeah.
This blows. The Braves get afforded so many breaks. Well, the Cubs get every 1, 2, 3 in the rotation. They get 5 every freaking time.
I'm not really complaining about the Cubs' upcoming schedule this week. I mean, if you can't beat the Reds, then hang it up, boys.
Yeah.
Hey man, the Reds are in it. The Reds. This is what I'm saying. I like I was off with the Tigers, because last year I picked the Tigers to win the NL Central or AL Central, excuse me. the Reds are in the thick of this. I mean, the Reds are sitting 3 games out of a wild card spot. It's not like the Reds are pushovers. They're 5 games over 500. This is a solid baseball team with a solid rotation, and man, they can rake, dude. So the Reds are serious business, and I hate to say this, the Reds, with what they have, Chase Burns, Lodolo, and Andrew Abbott, Hunter Green.
Sean, you're the one. You've been telling me for the last 3 weeks when you were looking at the trade deadline that shut down bullpens win championships.
Sure, they don't have it.
They are the opposite.
I agree with that. Yeah, they don't. But somehow they're sticking around. And Kyle, I gave you this stat. I gave you this stat earlier this week. Name the 2 teams in baseball that haven't been swept this year. The Chicago Cubs and the Cincinnati Reds.
That could be just like you just said. They could just be never playing the best 3-man rotation for any team they play. That's how it looks. And you know what, Sean? Good teams like the Dodgers, the Mets, the Phillies, they try to match up their best 3 pitchers versus your best 3 pitchers. Well, they don't do that with the Reds. They're not like, the Reds are coming to town. It's got to be Glass now, Yamamoto, and Otani. They don't do that shit. They do that with the Cubs.
The Reds scare me, man. And I'll be honest. And again, the Cubs got to stay on it, because when you talk about a 3.5 game lead, they got a 3.5 game lead over the Mets. Over the Padres, and a 2.5 game lead over the Mets for the number 1 wild card spot. I mean, this thing's coming down to it. Just do what you got to do and win this
Cubs
goddamn
control
division.
their own fate. All the Cubs have to do is win at the same clip they did for the first half of the season. If they
got
do that,
5 against the Brewers,
and if
win those 5, win 3 of those 5, and you're golden.
Yeah,
you're golden.
Or 4.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, I have to go to work. So pick you up the first pitch. TJ's jumping in.
TJ's jumping in here. All right, TJ, you got 1-1 versus the Orioles.
Against the Orioles. You got 3 against the Reds. I'll throw them back up there for you really quick, my friend. What do I do with the Reds? You got Lodolo and Soroka, Lytle and Shota, and Horton and Abbott. And then the first game of the Cardinals series, Boyd versus McGreevy.
So TJ, you got 1-1 against the Orioles. What's your prediction for the other 4 games on the schedule? 3 against the Reds, and 1 against.
Thanks, John. Really appreciate you, man.
Yeah, thanks, man. Appreciate it, John. Thanks for showing up, man. We, as always, dude. We appreciate it. John, TJ, you guys, Scott, you guys make this show so much easier with all your chat, man. Just taking the show in a different direction, just shooting the shit with Cubs fans, man. That's why we do this. We enjoy it. If you guys haven't, please hit that like and subscribe button, because we use all the support we can get. TJ, we're looking out for your last 4 games, man. Last 4 games.
Yeah,
you got 3 against the Reds and 1 against the Cardinals.
His comment, he say 1 and 2. His comment. I think he's comment.
Lindsay, thanks for joining the show. Appreciate it. Have a good day. Elizabeth, thanks for joining the show. TJ, Jonna, Scott.
Thanks for the work shirt.
Gaming with Jason. Appreciate you joining the show, man. Thank you very much. Dante, I think, was in here for a short stint. Brandon, thanks for joining the show. Appreciate you, man. Brandon, one of the 4 stars himself here. Yeah, Dante was in the show here. Thanks, Dante.
Yeah.
You know who hit me up on Twitter today, Kyle? Ty and Simi, because of they put a bit of a rough practice for Darnell Wright. Montez Sweat got the better of him, and there was some false start issues. And then he liked me on that tweet because he knows I have a block on the back to a breakout season for Mr. Montez Sweat.
Well, Sean, Darnell Wright also, they said it was just a rest day for him a couple days ago in practice. I think Darnell Wright is dealing with something minor, some minor little injury of some sort. It's very weird that he was the only guy who got a rest day. Like, okay, why does Darnell Wright get a rest day, but nobody else is getting a
and Jonah Jackson was back, but from all accounts,
Sean,
1 and 2 versus the Reds.
TG's here, man. 1 and 2 versus the Reds. Then you got that 1 game against St. Louis, TJ. Just that 1 game.
For all intents and purposes, today the practice for the offense looked pretty good, and there was some immaculate throws from some of the reporters. From Caleb Williams, he hooked up with Loveland. He got a touchdown to Cole Kmet. He threw a dime over the shoulder with Nahshon Wright in coverage to DJ Moore, who, yes, guys, is still on this football team. Didn't hear much about Luther Burden today. Roma Dunze had a great catch apparently in one-on-ones against my boy Kyler Gordon. Apparently he Randy Mossed him is what Glenn Braggs Jr. said. So I didn't see any highlights, but you know what? I'm glad to see the offense catching up to the defense.
Yeah, it's only going to get better by the week. TJ, you got one more game, brother. Then Sean's got to get out of here, man.
Hopefully he can pop it up.
Well,
I'd almost say I give him a win. Because we're
Yeah, if he doesn't put it up, we'll just give him a win because that's a win.
We'll give
Thank
him
you guys.
3-3. Put it in the chat, TJ. If you change your mind, I gotta bounce out of here. I gotta go get to work and go make some fun.
We'll see you guys on Monday on the House Hall Hangover, man. 7 o'clock.
Absolutely. Thank you, everybody. And first pitch is underway, and the Chicago Cubs got 2 outs, run around first for the Orioles, 3-0 count for Matthew Boyd. He's thrown 8 pitches. Looks like 3 of them were balls.
8 pitches, and he's got 2 outs?
9 pitches. He just threw a strike. It's 3-1.
He's already got 2 outs with 9 pitches?
2 outs. Adley Rushman is up right now.
Nice.
Man, what a decline he has. 232 batting average. Jesus, man.
Well, him and Henderson. Just the Orioles in general. What a disappointment. I mean, they lost one guy. They lost Corbin Burns, and they became like the worst team ever in the history of baseball. Like, what? You guys are one guy. Sean, TJ's got him 3-3.
3-3. That's what we had you down for. Thank you, everybody. Love y'all. We'll see you next week. Gotta go.
Love you guys. Appreciate you guys.
Peace out.